Okay, looks like we are live. Everyone, if you're watching it is on a Tuesday at 8 o'clock Pacific time. I'm just gonna oops, share this really quickly on my other pages and invite some other folks to join in if they'd like to join in. If you got a break in the Christmas festivities and hang out with me for a few minutes, I promise I won't keep this too long unless we have a cool conversation involved from it. I don't really have anything planned after this, so I'm around for a little bit, but I'm sure many of you have Christmas parties, dinners, movies, the whole gamut to watch. So we'll make this as efficient as possible. I have 2 more shares to do real quick, and then we'll be ready to go. So while I'm doing that, say hello. Let me know where you're logging in from, and if you have been naughty or nice this year. Say hello, and if you've been naughty or nice this year, unique one for the holiday. Okay, one last one. Oh no, it's going slow. Shoot. And okay. I put it in that. Shoot. Just got to double check. I can't remember if I shared it in here or not. I want to make sure this one goes here. And let's see. Yep, cool. All right. All right. Let me get this adjusted here. Why isn't this showing me who's on? Okay, here we go. Hey, Lisa, Merry Christmas from across the pond. Brandy, hey, hello. Always naughty. Maybe a little bit of both. Watching the NBA, cool. Who's playing tonight? So, Christmas. I can't even believe this is Christmas 2018. Somebody was posting, I saw this random post on Facebook when I was doing my little few minutes of mindless scrolling, and it said that at the end of next year, end of 2019, meaning it'll be 2020, that it will be 30 years since it's been 1990. How crazy is that? It's just unreal. Hey, Gershon, for Christmas. Christina from Phoenix, Merry Christmas. So I was sitting here and I tried to write this title like a Wheel of Fortune hodgepodge category where's the Wheel of Fortune category where it's basically you take 2 trains of thought and you make it one. So Merry Christmas Reflections instead of Merry Christmas and Merry Christmas Reflections. But anyways, so I wanted to explore a few things on here real quick and just share and see if this resonates with any of you. It was on my heart today and I thought it may be of value to some of you. Christmas and the holiday season is an interesting time of year where I feel like it's a time for many of us where we go into reflection. There's a lot of emotions. Emotions are often very heightened. There's the excitement, anticipation of loved ones with being able to eat the guilt-free snacks and all those. But then there's also can be some sadness, grief, some depression from missing loved ones and maybe feeling guilty for how the years unfolded and that you're not where you thought you'd be, or perhaps that you find yourself thinking about how Christmas was last year and life isn't quite what you thought it would turn out to be at this juncture where you are now. And so it puts you in a certain emotional state. And we find ourselves writing this Christmas time, and if we feel those sad feelings or feelings of depression or grief or guilt or something like that, our first inclination may be to try to bury it, to try to withhold it, to try to suppress it. Because in all the Christmas songs, they talk about holly jolly jingle and decking the halls and all these happy things. They don't really talk about that other stuff, right? About sadness and loss and depression and longing and reflecting and whatnot. And I think that's an important thing to address because I think it's something very real that we all feel. We're missing loved ones, or if we're in a spot in life where we didn't expect we would be, trying to wrestle through those emotions during this time of year. I think it's really important to acknowledge that that's a reality. That's the other part of it. I know that if you follow me around regularly throughout the year, very much it's talking about making choices, right? Choosing how we're going to be, choosing what we focus on, choosing what we feel, that we're masters of our, and recognize that at this time of year, that's not to say that we, me included, is not going to go through this emotional range of what it's called being a human. And this time of year, there's more triggers often for most of us than at any other time. I was just thinking earlier today, I was feeling this space of sadness. I love Christmas time too. I absolutely love it. I love seeing how happy people are. I love seeing how excited people get about it. I love the Christmas parties. I love that people, there's so much delicious food. I love being able to have the time with family and friends. And I found myself earlier today feeling some sadness, feeling, maybe a little bit of depression. And it's not because I am sadness or I am depressed, but it was an emotion that was coming up. And I recognize, so when I feel those emotions, I recognize that, first of all, my emotions aren't me. They're not my identity. There's something I feel. There's something I'm experiencing. There's a feeling that needs to be expressed. And so when I feel those emotions, I ask myself questions. What I would have used to have done once upon a time, long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, is I would, oh, fuck, I'm sad, or I am sadness, or, oh, fuck, I'm depressed, and I would have put that label on myself, and I would have become that emotion. I would have become that and made it my identity. Now what I do when I feel those emotions is I feel them and I ask myself, what could be causing me to feel this? What might be the inspiration in this feeling? What might be the trigger of it? And I start to look at it, and because I start to ask those questions, what happens is my brain starts to search and seek out answers. And suddenly I find myself uncovering the root of why I'm feeling how I'm feeling. Now, this is really powerful, is when roller coasters of emotions, which many of us do around the holidays, we can arrive at a place where we don't have to sit and stew in those emotions that we may not want to be stuck in. I don't have to sit and stew with emotions or depression or grief or guilt, that I may feel them, and ask myself, why do I feel this? Why might this be coming up? One of the things that popped up for me when I was aware of these emotions I was having is it suddenly occurred to me that it's been over 10 years now since I last saw my dad alive. Over 10 years. And that just hit me. And what triggered it for me was thinking about, I was trying to find my Santa Claus hat to do the Merry Christmas video I posted earlier, if any of you saw it. Santa Claus hat, and I ended up having to put my stocking on using it. And so I couldn't find my Santa Claus hat, and I was running around trying to find my Santa Claus hat, and I'm really pretty good at keeping track of stuff. And I opened up this drawer where I thought it might be, and I saw this envelope with my dad's handwriting on it. And it just said Merry Christmas on it. And there was a couple photos on there that my dad had sent me from several years ago with some of my childhood pets who I grew up with and whatnot. And when I was looking at those, it brought up all these emotions. There was the happiness that I have, the memories. There's this, missing, like I miss my dad. And then I started to think about it more and thinking, gosh, when was the last time I saw dad alive? And then I realized that it had been over 10 years because I didn't go home and see him the Christmas before because of life stuff had come up, and I didn't go and see him that Christmas because I kept putting it off and saying, I can do it next year. I can do it later. I got to deal with this now, whatever it is. And that just hit me today. It hit me. There was a thought I had never thought before about quantifying my dad being dead, my dad not being here, in a terms of decades, right? I've done he's been gone weeks, he's been gone months, he's been gone years, but I never had the notion before that my dad I'd been over a decade since I'd seen him alive, and so I felt those feelings. Now, also on the other extreme of the pendulum, there's the happy memories of being a kid and growing up and thinking about all the effort my mom would put into making Christmas a special. Thinking about those times where I remember getting like a Street Fighter 2 video game and how excited I was about that. Or, there's some other special Christmas memories in there. So there's this pendulum that I found myself on. And I don't know if any of you have felt that too, but that's where this comes in. It's all okay. I think what's really important about this time of year is to recognize that there's a lot of sentiment, love, and really happy emotion that's attached to many of our people, places, and things that we may not be consciously, and that there might be stuff that pops up that gives us a new blueprint, gives us a new experience that we've never experienced before around that. And it might bring up some other emotions. We might feel guilty because we don't get the gift that we thought we were going to give, or we don't feel guilty because someone we thought was going to, or we feel bad or we feel sad because someone we thought would send us a Merry Christmas text message doesn't respond to us, or doesn't send us one. And then when they don't send us that Merry Christmas text message, we start to significant enough that we're not important enough to them for them to allocate any of their time. We're just not lovable. We're not good enough. Right. And then on the other side of it, there's the Christmas lights and the goodies and the time with families and getting to have a hug from that extra special people in your life, or just the smells of the season, right? And so there's these pendulums that may go back and forth for many of us at this time of year, and they're all okay. So just recognize when you're on that swing, and that's kind of the big message of today is that recognize that when you feel those emotions, namely the ones that may not be the most ideal ones to feel, like sadness and grief and guilt, or depression, or something else on a day like today. Recognize, number one, that you're not those emotions. That's not who you are. It's what you're feeling. That you're not that. You're not that label. That's not your identity. And it's a travesty if someone tries to label you as such. It's an even bigger travesty if you attach that label to yourself. Because see, if we're just feeling an emotion, we have power to do something about it. We can do something about what we feel, what we think. We can shift that. We can change it. I had a conversation with myself earlier today, and was able to shift myself out of those more sad, depressing kind of feelings I was feeling, and over to those other things, to happiness and joy and laughter. But if we attach an identity on it, if we say this is who I am, I'm no longer Jesse. I am now sadness. It's a much more difficult thing to change, right? If I am tree, that means I'm just a tree. If I feel like a tree, well, that's a whole nother thing. And if I don't want to feel like a tree, I can do something about that. So recognize that emotions are what you're feeling. It's not who you are. Number two is that rather than when you do feel those feelings, and if they do come up for you, have a conversation with yourself. Ask yourself, why might I be feeling this way? If it's because you're really missing someone, and you're like, gosh, I miss so-and-so so much. I wish they were here. One of the things I always do in those moments is I say, it sucks that they're not here, but if they were here, what would they want me to do in this moment right now? How would they want me to live this moment? How would they want me to experience this moment? And then whatever comes up, I honor that and do that. And it's amazing on what a profound shift it makes in my own emotional experience. And number three, love. There's one of the things that we'll feel when we start to feel those, things like sadness, grief, guilt, depression, those types of things that may circulate during this time of year. We feel them because in some way, shape, or form, expectations we had about today, this moment in time, haven't been met. We had expectations. I fully expected that my dad would be still alive and present at this time. I never expected in a million years my dad would die as young as he did. I fully expected that many of the loved ones I've lost would be still alive now. And so as much of the sadness or depression or grief or guilt or any of those types of things that's come up for me around them is because that expectation that I'd held in my mind and in my heart my whole entire life wasn't met. And so I had lived my life under the impression that expectation would be met, and would be met over and over again. Much like many of us do, right? We don't often like to think about our expectations not being met in those kinds of capacities. So our emotional responses will be in line with expectations that haven't been met. One of the things we can do with that is we can set a different expectation for ourselves. We can't control what happened. We can't control other people. But what we can do is we can set expectations for ourselves. One of the expectations I set for myself on days like today is I expect of myself to make sure I laugh more than I normally would. I expect of myself to love more than I normally would, especially myself, to be kind to myself, to honor myself. And I put the expectation on myself to put love out into the world, to try to remove my expectations of others on this day and try to give myself and them that gift of not putting expectations on them, but just putting the expectation on myself. And the expectation I put on myself is just to love a little bit more, to love without expectation, to send love out into the world, to think loving thoughts of all of you, of people, of friends, of family, whoever, to reflect on if there's any sort of anger or animosity or something I'm holding on to, and forgive and let go. To recognize that if there's in people around me who they may be going through their own stuff, and that it's not a reflection on me, it's them going through their own stuff, and I can just choose to love them for where they are in their journey. But I find for myself time and time again that if I come back to that baseline of love, it's transformative how I experience today. And it brings me back to full circle about one of the reasons why I really love Christmas, because there's so much love out there. There's so much kindness out there. And with the emotional roller coaster that comes with it, it's often and always a reminder to just love a little bit more. So that's what I have for you all today. I hope this has been helpful to you all. Any questions about this? Hey, Maria, Merry Christmas. Hey, Christine, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Patty. Merry Christmas, Julie. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Elle. You're welcome, Fernando. Any questions at all? If not, you can post them in the comments. I'll circle back around to them. I'll be back on here tomorrow, right around this time, and then I will update you on the other days of the week, the other days, Thursday and Friday, as we go along with it. And then once we get through New Year's, we'll be looking at that first full week of January to start to establish a regular Facebook Live schedule for the coming year going forward. And I really hope that if you all find value in this, that you'll join me in it. You'll invite your friends and family too. My intention is to have a set enough schedule where it makes it simple for you to show up, and it makes it simple for you to share it with your loved ones too. And was there something else I had? Shoot, it just popped. Oh, you're very welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for jumping in. It's great to see you on here. Was there something? Oh, shoot, I had one other thing that. Well, whatever it was, we'll figure it out. Last but not least, this wasn't what I wanted, but since I have your all attention, I got an update about my TED Talk. It sounds like it's still delayed. They've gotten 2 or 3 of them completely finalized. They're trying to get the whole batch edited completely before they submit it off to TED to get up on YouTube. So there's 11 of us total. They have 3 fully done. I don't know how far along that means with the other 8, but hopefully this isn't going too far into 2019, and we're looking at the first, second week of January, because I'm really excited to share it with you. And it's for me, I really put a lot of heart into that talk to make it a gift that anybody who's open to receiving it could unwrap it and use it to make a profound difference in their life and the lives of loved ones too. So that's it for the day. You're welcome for the reality check. You're very welcome, Christine. Merry Christmas, Mandy. I will see you all on here. If you're on here tomorrow, I'll see you then. Make sure you are subscribing to this, get notifications for the live updates. And for those of you who are commenting throughout this, who are pushing the emoji buttons, who are sharing it, huge thank you for that, because the more you interact with this, the more comments you put, even if you're just putting little smiley faces and stuff. My understanding of everything is it does make Facebook say, hey, this is something that we might share with other people, and then they put it out more into the world. So extra big thanks for all of you. Merry Christmas, everyone. And wherever you are, whether it's morning, noon, or night, I hope you're doing something quite special with this moment. And remember to love, to love yourself, to release expectations, send more love out into the world. Christmas doesn't have to just stop today. It can continue on tomorrow and every other day. Wherever you are in that emotional pendulum, it's all okay. But remember, if you're on the one side that may not be the most bright or empowering, it's okay to be there, but you're not those emotions. It's just what you're feeling. And there's a reason why you're feeling what you're feeling. And so have a conversation with those emotions. If it's because of missing or longing for someone, ask them. If they're not alive or present, ask them. That's what I do. And just listen closely. I'll ask my dad, how would you want me to spend this moment? What message? The reason I'm having this conversation today, it's a much different one than I thought it was in planning, was just having a conversation with my dad. And this was what kept coming up. And my dad was the one saying that it would be something that'd be helpful for people. So this isn't so much from me as it is for my dad. So perhaps this is my dad's Christmas present to all of you. Anyways, that's it for me. We'll see you later. Carpe diem, seize the day, seize the moment. Sending lots of love to you all. Merry Christmas. And thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me. Bye-bye.